Hey, Jim Augustus Armstrong here, president of Flooring Success Systems, and I'm here with my good friend Scott Perrin at the Coverings event in Orlando. We're getting ready to go speak here in just a little bit, and in today's Floor Marketing Minute, you're going to learn some tips on navigating the waters of marketing to millennials, so stay tuned. All right, so Scott, we hear about marketing to millennials all the time, and there's a ton of information coming out. A lot of it's contradictory, and it can cause some overwhelm and confusion with dealers. So you and I had kind of a long discussion last night at dinner about this, and I thought it would be helpful to share some of the things that we were discussing, in order to help dealers. So what are your thoughts on approaching marketing to millennials and kind of navigating those turbulent waters?
Well, in both of our operations, because we do kind of two sides of the fence, we're seeing a change in the way that the millennials will buy product moving forward. We can't claim to have grasped what those changes exactly are, but I will tell you a lot of it centers around technology. We were just sitting in our room ready to get ready for our event here, and we noticed a young man who was definitely a millennial. He had 3 different devices in front of him. He had an iPad, he had a MacBook, he had an iPhone, and he was tooling all of them at the same time. Which indicates to me that although we may not think that's a personal touch, it is in their world a personal way to communicate, very personal, and you can see a whole room full of millennials communicating on different devices in a group. They're all on their devices doing something different. To them, that's a personal way of being together but communicating, and they may not have to communicate with each other. What that means for us is we have to be present, we have to be relevant online, we have to be thinking about what type of tools they'll be looking for to search us, what information is going to be most important to them when they're searching us, and how we can be helpful, because it's not about who's right or who's wrong. In fact, this generation has a lot of great things to offer, and they're coming on strong, and they've got some good ideas. So I think we need to listen. As you said, the data's out there right now, but it may be contradictory, so you got to kind of sift through it. I think the important thing for the dealers is make sure you're not 10 years behind the curve. Now's the time to start looking at how you're going to market to this generation. They're just starting to enter the customer phase of their existence in our world, because they're buying homes or they're buying condos and so on, and they're going to be making these purchases, and they're going to make them from somebody. Don't kid yourself. They're going to buy flooring. The question is, how are we going to be relevant in that process?
I agree. And one of the things I wanted to mention is, you hear so much about millennials, and you hear data. I've gotten data from 2 reliable sources that's totally contradictory regarding millennials. And I think one takeaway that would be helpful to you as a dealer is don't panic. Don't listen to one speaker or read one article and then decide to retool your entire operation based on what somebody says. Because right now, you see some trends and patterns, but how you buy flooring is so different than buying electronics, than buying really any other kind of retail. It's very, very, very difficult to buy flooring online. And you had that experience with
a millennial customer.
Yeah,
very
tell
recently.
us about that. What happened?
So really quickly, you had a young man who came in with his wife. They were upset about a purchase they had made, and it wasn't with us. It was with another dealer, but they had searched online for some vinyl plank flooring. They thought they knew what they wanted. They went to a brick and mortar store and ordered it, and when it got to their house and they were only ordering the materials because they had a contractor scheduled to put it in, they decided this wasn't what they wanted. This is not at all what they thought it was going to be. And of course they went to return it, and now there's a 25% restocking fee because they bought it from a bona fide dealer like many of us who have a cost incurred when we buy and sell, especially special order product. So it became a real fiasco for everybody involved, the customer, the contractor doing the installation, certainly the store owner, and even the vendor who made the product. I mean, it was a negative situation, all because they probably didn't touch, feel, see, look at. And even at this show, we have a lot of guys using devices, but they're in this show touching and feeling the marble, the stone, the vinyl plank, the wood, because that's the way you have to buy flooring.
Right. It's not like buying a flat screen TV. There's that whole idea of showrooming, where people will go into a Best Buy or something. They'll look at the TVs and then go online and go order it there. You can't do that with flooring for two main reasons. One is because what looks like beige plush carpet online
right,
or in a store is not the same as the other beige plush carpeting. That's one reason. It's hard to distinguish. The other reason is the installation part of it.
Correct.
It's installation is half of the job. It's
Right.
equally important to the product. And I think one of the important things to do is to remember you've got to educate people. So this definitely applies to millennials who are used to buying online. You could take some of the things that Scott and I have talked about today and say, look, here's what's different about buying flooring versus buying a flat screen TV or buying the latest iPhone or what have you.
Well, I think you just hit the nail on the head. It's about educating the millennials. So if we want to be relevant to them, let's speak to them. Let's tell them what to be looking for, and let's be something that they can adhere to, something that makes sense to them. Because a lot of them, quite honestly, because they're so device savvy, a lot of them are not as savvy in construction. So unless they're in the field, working with their hands or working in construction, they don't really spend a lot of time in that environment. They spend time in other areas. But I understand construction, but I'm terrible at devices. So it's two different ways to get to the same place. So if we can spend our time doing something like this, doing some educational videos that can be out there online, showing that you're the expert and teaching them not to make the mistake that my customer most recently made. And what happened in our case is he came out and bought from us materials that we stocked to replace the item that he was returning to the other dealer purely because he could touch and feel it. So it's such a huge part of flooring. It's why this business hasn't gone 100% online and why this show is full of people.
Exactly. So, in the meantime, you don't have to panic. There's not a giant rush to retool everything you do. We still have yet to see what the flooring industry is going to look like 10 years from now. And the truth is, nobody really knows, okay? I wish I knew. I wish we could predict, but think about where we were 10 years ago. Would we have predicted where we're at today?
No, I mean, and a hot item like, waterproof core vinyl or SPC core vinyl didn't exist 10 years ago. But now it's one of the hottest items in the industry. So 10 years out, even 5 years out, it's hard to predict. But I think you just start doing your due diligence now. Start getting a handle on it and make those changes gradually and you'll be fine.
I agree. And a couple of key, just some of the basics in business that apply anytime you're doing any kind of business. Communicate with your past customers, provide excellent customer service, wow your clients so that it inspires referrals, inspires that connection, and some of the other tips that Scott and I talked about, and you're going to be fine. And I think you said something important, and that is just keep your eyes open, keep your eyes and ears open, and let's see how it plays out.
Absolutely.
All right. If you found today's tip helpful, be sure and subscribe. And if you would like help marketing to your past customers or creating a referral system or anything like that, I'd love to chat with you. So just go ahead and contact me at the information below here. And stay tuned for the next Floor Marketing Minute. Thanks.